Joining me now is Dr. Jasmine Mohajir. She is a ophthalmologist, which is the big eyeball doctor, but you specialize also into the plastics around the eye as well. You're from the Eye Institute of West Florida, which is out of Largo, but they have a lot of different places. And today we're going to talk about eye exams, which is very important this time of year. I think there's something going on this month, right?
It's Amblyopia Awareness Month for the state of Florida, absolutely. It's a new initiative we had through the Florida Society of Ophthalmology actually this year, so to bring awareness of children's eye problems and the need for screening, especially before school starts.
Sure. Now we got little kids walking around and they bump into things. They don't look like they're paying attention most of the time. How can you tell if your child has some eye issues?
Well, there's a lot of things. If they're sitting really close to the television, if they're using their iPads constantly, moving them real close to the screens, if they don't track very well, sometimes even in infants, if we take pictures in the reflex in one of the eyes, the light reflex, how the light reflex out of one of the eyes is different from one eye versus the other. Those are certainly things to look for, especially if there's a family history of any eye problems in children. Those children should really get screened pretty quickly.
Sure. Now, what if we don't? What happens? What's the long-term effects?
Well, there's something called amblyopia, which is kind of a way to say lazy eye. So children, if they're not screened and these eye problems aren't caught by the age of 5, these eye problems can be permanent, and the brain cells really don't develop, so we can have permanent blindness that if we could catch it by age 5, we could treat and really perfect their vision.
Sure. Now, how about those individuals who don't have the really bad stuff, but just don't focus real well? We notice that they have some long-term effects too. A lot of it's learning disabilities, things like that. Touch a little bit on that.
Absolutely. It really affects their academic performance, and we find we actually call it computer vision syndrome now. We're using iPhones, or children using iPhones, iPads, all these electronic things on the computer, video games. So we really cause a lot of strain because of those things. And we know if we have uncorrected vision problems, that strain and the damage from those things can even be worse than we expect. And it really affects how they perform in school.
Sure. And since we do have so much visual, I mean, if I can't see, I actually don't feel good because I wear contacts. And so
Absolutely.
if I forget to put them in that morning, I'm a little bit more irritated. I wander into things. I'm just not
That's
as
right.
effective.
Headaches, blurry vision, neck pain, shoulder pain, all kinds of things that we can get even when our eyes don't work because we're trying to strain and move our bodies in funny ways to see better. So especially for children who really can't sometimes tell you why things aren't quite right. And a lot of times they don't know. Children who are born with poor vision, they don't know they have poor vision. It's just how they see. So without having someone formally screen them, you may never know that there's a vision problem that could be corrected.
Sure. Now, earliest we can screen?
Really, if there's a problem, from birth. So
Okay.
if we see that an eye is not tracking or not looking the same way, that should be brought to the doctor's attention, an eye care provider, immediately. But insurance covers it, and we really should have all of our children screened before preschool. Right now, only about 20% of preschool children are screened, and about 1 in 20 of preschool children will have a undetected vision problem. And they say about 1 out of every 4 school-age child has an undiagnosed vision problem. So it really is quite common.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And of course, there's long-term effects issues, but most people, they just don't like eye exams. I don't know about you. I know you do it all day, so you're used to poking things in your eyes, but most people, they walk in and go, I'm not real comfortable with that. So talk to us about an eye exam so it just gets rid of some of those
With children,
fears.
it's a little bit easier. So we have ways of examining vision in children who aren't even verbal. So we show them pictures and things. We can shine lights. We have different colored objects that they see to test their stereo or their 3D vision, we should say. So there's a lot of kind of non-invasive things. We do recommend, if there's a problem that we're worried about, a dilate exam, which is where we put drops in. No one likes that, and they're blurry for reading for a few hours. But that lets us do a complete eye exam, look in the back of the eye, make sure there's no problems back there that could cause long-term damage as well too. So
Sure, and when we look at these eye exams, we look at not just how the eye functions, but you can see things along the way there too. You can see early signs of diabetes, hypertension,
Absolutely.
cataracts, all that fun stuff. So as a medical doctor, for me, eye exams are really important. And surprisingly, most of the medical doctors don't do a real good job on eye exams. So it's not good enough for us to look at your eyes. You really want to make sure we see the ophthalmologist.
Absolutely. So especially if there's any systemic conditions, we can really track those problems with a full eye exam. So especially if you've had a history again. So.
Sure. Now, glasses, contacts, anything special in there? So what's the youngest that you can have contacts? Because kids, they don't want to wear the glasses, they want to wear the contacts. So
what's funny, some kids find it cool. Nowadays they go to the eye doctor and they want to have glasses. So every child's different. Contacts, it really depends on the child because they have to be very responsible. We don't want people misusing the contacts, overwearing them. They really can be a source of infection. So usually around 12, if you have a responsible child, that'd be a good age for contact lenses.
you mean sleeping in them was not a good idea? And
Generally
wearing one
not.
for
They
a
do make some that do, but we do find that even those people have an increased risk of corneal ulcers, infections, and
Sure.
things like that.
And those infections, once you have an eye infection with a contact, get rid of the whole source.
Generally, they do recommend that. So a lot of people go even to LASIK at that point once they have an eye infection. So.
And we'll touch on that real quickly on the LASIK piece. Is a lot of arguments of how early eyes are going to change. What do you think about that?
They recommend a stable eye exam, so that just depends on your provider and routine eye exams to make sure. So generally, late teenage years, early 20s is when most people obtain LASIK, but there's different scenarios, of course.
And then at the end, obviously, the eyes change a little bit, so LASIK doesn't mean you're not going to wear glasses. It means you might wear glasses again.
Yes, as you get older. Unfortunately, we all wind up needing reading glasses, and we get our cataracts and things like that.
Well, I didn't know if it's the glasses went bad or my arms just got shorter, so it just seems like one of those things.
It's that magic thing that happens when you turn about 40.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that was
yeah.
a while ago, so we won't go there. Any last words?
Well, insurance covers these screenings for children. It's really important to get the screenings because the vision loss can be permanent, but we can stop it, diagnose it, prevent it, treat it in many, many cases. So if you want your child to have a great academic year, now's the time to get your screenings.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the information. Certainly timely, and since August is National Eye Exam Month, might as well come by and visit, huh?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.